Hello, everyone, and welcome with me today, where we're going to discuss embracing your shadow and the importance of what your shadow is. And I want to start off by reading a quote that was written by Debbie Ford. It is the opponent within us that exposes our flaws and sharpens our skills. It is the teacher, the trainer, and the guide that supports us in uncovering our true magnificence. The shadow is not a problem to be solved or an enemy to be conquered, but a fertile field to be cultivated. Hi, Vijaya. Thank you for joining today, and I'm looking forward to having this discussion with everyone that's hopefully going to join soon. Hi, Daniel. I'm just going to reread what I've opened with. It's written by Debbie Ford. It is the opponent within us that exposes our flaws and sharpens our skills. It is the teacher, the trainer, and the guide that supports us in uncovering our true magnificence. The shadow is not a problem to be solved or an enemy to be conquered, but a fertile field to be cultivated. For me, it's quite important that it says that it exposes our flaws, and that is part of your shadow. That is why it's there. It is for us to learn and to really experience both sides of life. We have a duality within us, which is good and evil, and it's the center of the human experience. We all have encountered life and death. It coexists in every single person, and that projects in our daily lives. For example, if we've known courage, we have experienced fear. If you have known happiness, you have experienced sadness. Yet we fail to acknowledge this dualistic nature. For me, I want to ask you guys, why do you think we actually fail to acknowledge that dualistic way within us? I'm just going to wait a few seconds. I know it's only two of you so far that I can see. Daniel, I'm going to bring up your comment. Our flaws, our shadow, teaches us things and molds us into what we are. It's a very important point that you're bringing up there. We see it as a weakness rather than a strength. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into why we are doing that. We mostly live under the assumption that it's only one way or the other. Vijay, you are saying it takes us out of our comfort zone. That is why we avoid the duality within ourselves. Exactly. I think from childhood we've been conditioned to fear our darker side and not embrace it. And you have to basically, what it's taught as since childhood is you only have to be good. You cannot have the darker side within you. And it comes to points that I'm going to still share with you later on. Why do we act out in ways that goes against our values and what we stand for is another question that I would like you guys to just interact with me and tell me, why do you think we act in ways that goes against our values? I'm not sure if there's a lag on my side from the comments, so I'm just going to wait a little bit for comments to come through. Daniel, I've read this one. We see it as a weakness rather than a strength. I've also read your comment already. It takes us out of our comfort zone. That is why we avoid reality within ourselves. Daniel is saying, for me, I act in ways that goes against my values because I've reached a breaking point. Vijay, you saying we can act in ways that go against our values because it's expected of us to maintain the peace. That is so important, that what both of you have shared. And that is because we are disconnected and we are just wanting that good in our lives rather than accepting our darker side. And that is the whole point where I'm doing this live, is to talk about how we can embrace it and why we should do it. And embrace that darker side and make it part of your life. When do you think was the first time you developed a fear for your shadow? While I'm waiting for you to put your comments as why to my question, I want to ask, I'm going to explain something. Let's take a picture. Let's picture this, a young child seeing their shadow for the first time. What normally happens? That child starts running, screaming, crying probably too, trying to get rid of this creature that is following it. And that to me is like, if I look at visually with this child running with its arms and screaming for help and trying to get rid of that creature, we are the same with our shadows. And Daniel, you're saying probably as a child when I was told not to do anything bad. Exactly. That is where our conditioning started. And Vijay, you saying at a very young age, when things were uncertain, I gravitated towards the good instead of listening to my shadow. Exactly. It all interlinks with that little child. When you see your shadow for the first time, your reaction that you have had. Any child. I remember when I was small, I ran as fast as I could, but I couldn't get rid of that shadow. And I think it's something that we must remember, that darker side is always with you. And then I want to bring it closer to home. We act in the same way when confronted by our shadow. Why do you think we are doing this? And we've touched on it already, so I'm just going to give those points. We were conditioned to fear our shadow side. That is from your parents, from your teachers, from anyone you interacted with, school, even friends that could have said to you, be good. Remember those things when you went out with friends and your mom would say to you, don't be naughty, be good. It's like, fear that side, fear that darkness in you. Don't go there. You have to be good. You have to be this prim and proper person that doesn't have flaws and that doesn't make mistakes. So for me, that's quite important to remember where that all comes from. It comes from unaccepted behavior. Say, for instance, in the workplace, if you go out in public, if you do something unaccepted, if you have bad thoughts, that is all part of your shadow and how we've conditioned not to accept that darker side of us in life. And I see Shannon, thank you for joining us. We're diving into our shadow, our darker side for today. I know you've missed the beginning, but thank you for joining us. And please engage and interact while we discuss this quite interesting topic. For me, when you deny your shadow, it causes more. I want you to share with me, what do you think, if you do not deny the darker side in you, what is it going to cause for you at the end of the day? I would like you to share a few things that you can think of, that you know of, that is affecting that for you. Okay, Daniel, I get frustrated when I ignore it. Hi, Corin. Thank you for joining us. I'm talking about our shadow, our darker side. And please engage with us on this topic. I've just asked the question is, when we deny our shadow, what comes up for you? What emotions, what feelings, what thoughts do you experience when you start to avoid the darker side within you? Daniel, I like what you said, that you get frustrated when you ignore it. I would like to go a little bit deeper. Why do we get frustrated? For me, when I ignore it and deny it, basically, what you get from that frustration is going to cause you stress at the end of the day. It's going to cause you probably anxiety. That there's so many things that darker side can cause you to feel. Vijaya is saying, denial of the shadow leads to restlessness, stretches faith, creates conflict and turmoil within. It festers emotions like anger, pain, insecurities, and self-doubt. That is most of the points that I was going to bring off on. I've put regret, suffering, pain. And then I said, we need to embrace our shadow to allow us to have control over it, and that the shadow doesn't control us. So important for us to embrace that shadow and really give it attention and accept it into your life. If the shadow has control over us, we act out. We waste energy on bad habits and repetitive behavior. By embracing the shadow, it allows you to be whole, to be real, and to take your power back, to unleash our passion and to realize our dreams. Without that, you have that split within you, because you're not embracing your darker side, you're not embracing your light, you're only embracing one side of your life. We all have good and bad and light and dark within us. It's human nature. I want to ask you another question is, how can we defeat our shadow? What are your thoughts on how can you defeat your shadow? Daniel is saying, by not embracing my shadow, I've missed out on so many opportunities. Daniel, I think it's not only you, it's all of us. We all have had that missed opportunities because it stops you from doing things. It stops you from reaching out to people and going for opportunities. So definitely that's a very, very important point that you've brought up. So I'm just going to repeat my question is, how can we defeat our shadow? Or do you want to defeat your shadow? Corin is saying, it is a difficult one. Who is it who has made you think it's not good, you or someone else? I think you need to acknowledge it and deal with it with challenging your thoughts. Thank you for bringing that up. It's going to come up. It's just a question I got put out there so we can start thinking about it. Daniel is saying, replacing the shadow with something positive that has the same effect. Vijaya is saying, I am more towards embracing it. I now respect it, try to understand it and be aware of it. When I do that, it does not control me. I don't want to defeat my shadow. It's beautifully put, Vijaya. You all have touched on that you have to make it part of you. And it's what I've shared earlier on. By embracing our shadow, it allows us to be whole, to be real, to be back, to take back our power and to unleash our passion and to realize our dreams. Most important is to let go of the notion to defeat it. That's the first step. And you all have actually taken that first step and saying you're going to embrace your shadow. You're going to accept it. The shadow loses power when Our consciousness stops being divided when you're no longer split. I've mentioned that earlier as well. When we're not split, we are whole. We accept both, everything in our lives. We've taken that step to embrace our shadows. We need to try and refrain from following as it is a fuel to our shadow. Things that we need to stop doing, because we're going to feel that shadow to have that power over us. I don't know if you guys want to share some thoughts on what do you think we should refrain from doing in order not to feel it. I'm going to list some points while I wait for your comments to come through. Is keeping secrets from yourself and others. How often have you kept a secret from yourself without maybe realizing it? Maybe not trying to admit the truth, and it becomes a secret. Or you're keeping secrets from others. Harboring guilt and shame. I think for a long time I was guilty of that. I've taken that guilt and that shame and I've made it not part of me. I've let it actually overrule me and rule my life. For me, that was a key point that I had to overcome and had to understand. It's part of me. I needed to take that lesson and go forward and heal from that. Making yourself and others wrong. How often have you said, oh, I did something wrong? I shouldn't have done that. That's your darker side interfering with you, with your mind, with your consciousness. Find the need to blame others. How often, how quickly have you blamed someone else and not taking that responsibility? Daniel, you're saying, as long as it doesn't hurt me or others in any way, I am happy to embrace my shadow. It's an important point that you're bringing that closer to what you're going to give out rather than what you're going to take in. You don't want something to hurt you or any other people around you. I've got ignoring our own weaknesses while criticizing others around us. I think guilty of that as well. I've tried to not show my weaknesses to people, and I've tried to hide it, and it festers within you, and then it comes out and you project it out into the world, onto others. And it's just something that we really have to be aware of. Separating yourself from others. How often have we just pulled away from other people and separated, and it's causing and struggling to keep evil at bay? Because if your shadow is going to be in control of you, you are going to struggle. You are going to struggle to keep having that goodness within you, and you're going to become anxious, stressed, and depressed. And that is part of evil for me. We have 4 choices to take to escape the power of the shadow. I would like for you guys to share with me, what choices do you think we can do to escape the power of the shadow? And I'm going to give you a few minutes to I know it's only 2 of you or 3 of you watching, but I would love to get your comments on what 4 choices do you think we can make to escape the power of the shadow. Hi, Paul. Thank you for joining us. Really nice to see you and having you interact with us. Vijay, sorry, Daniel, you said I'm not sure on that one. Thank you for being honest. Vijay is saying for me it is a right thing. I'm just going to bring 4 things up. It is to stop projecting, ignoring our own weaknesses and project it onto others, detach and let go. Let go of your negative emotions. I'm not just saying ignore them. I'm saying embrace it. and let it go, attend to it, work with it, and work through it and change it to that positive. It's what Daniel mentioned earlier, changing it to that positive. Give up self-judgment. You get emotions that you think you deserve. So if you're going to have that negative self-talk, you're going to feel that you need to be better. You need to improve. You need to if you're in a negative mindset, you're going to get what you deserve. You're going to feel depressed. You're going to feel that you're going to have that self-doubt. You're going to project it out onto other people. You're going to withdraw from people. It comes back to separating yourself from other people. And then we need to rebuild our emotional body. You need to nourish that emotional body. And that's the next point I'm going to come on to. I just want to read Corin's comment. Corin is saying, yes, I experienced that. I do tend to defend myself when I think I'm judged. I suppose that is because I don't want to be responsible for hurting anyone, but maybe we can do that unintentionally. And then Corin is saying to reflect and see if it's actually a shadow. Corin, thank you for sharing that and being so open and honest. And I think it's something that we all do. How quickly are you there to defend yourself? Without self-reflection, you just jump the gun and you defend yourself rather than doing that reflection and then react. For me now, I'm going to come on to how can we rebuild our emotional body? I would like you guys to share with me your thoughts. How do you think you can rebuild that emotional side of yourself? While I wait for you to comment, write your thoughts in your comments, I'm going to mention the points that I've written down. It is learning to be resilient, dispelling the demons of the past, healing old wounds, seeing through your fears, learning self-acceptance. Corin is saying to reflect and see if it's actually a shadow. Okay, I've done that one. Daniel is sitting in silence can help. That comes to meditation. That comes to just being there for yourself, clearing your thoughts, clearing your mind and your consciousness, and just realigning yourself. For me, a vital point that stood out here for me was learning self-acceptance. I sometimes use the word self-love, which is not really the correct term. Self-acceptance is accepting everything about you, your looks, what current state you are in emotionally. Accept that, work on it and improve it. Deal with your emotions. And accept for who you are. Accept your flaws, accept your weaknesses, and embrace that into your daily life. The other thing is wholeness overcomes the shadow by absorbing it. So as soon as you have that alignment, that you're embracing your darker side, you're embracing your lighter side, and you're giving it love and attention, you've actually overcome that shadow and the wholeness is absorbed. Key points to remember for me is to acknowledge your shadow. When it brings you negativity into your life, once you have those negative experiences, there's a few things, points that I'm still going to bring up, but acknowledge it and embrace it. Forgive your shadow. Don't have that regret. Oh, I did something wrong. I did this. It's not working for me. Embrace it and forgive it. Turn the unwanted obstacle into your ally. Ask yourself what conditions are giving rise to the shadow. Is it stress? Permission to do harm? Us versus them. How often do we go into us versus them? That's a key point. Share your feelings with someone you trust. Corin is saying, I think I do it in nature. Agree. Self-acceptance. For me, it is change the collective, change yourself, projecting and judging them, and practice meditation. That's where Daniel's point came in. Paul is saying, one thing for me is to remind myself that the light side only exists because of the dark side. It's a point that I covered earlier in my life, Paul. It's actually what I opened up with, about the good, the evil, the bad, the light, the fear that we have. If you've experienced fear, and if you've experienced sadness, you've experienced happiness. It's all those dualities that you have in your life. And I'm thanking you for bringing this point up again. Vijay is saying, I tend to embrace silence through writing, spending time with nature, holding myself accountable to do the grounding habits, having support systems that can uplift me when I am down. Paula, thank you for joining us and listening. Corin, you're just greeting Paula. So yeah, practicing meditation, that comes into all the points that you've brought, because for me, writing is a form of meditation. Building puzzles is a form of meditation. There's so many things. Shannon is saying, I was taking this in and now I'm thinking I should likely go back to the beginning. The replay is available, Shannon, so you can do that at any point. We need to befriend our shadow. That's the next point that I'm going to bring up. Well, I just want to see what you said. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by that, Paula. So how are we going to befriend our shadow? We need to allow our shadow to be part of our whole self, integrate it into your life. Find compassion for the darkness inside you. How do you guys think you can find that compassion? If you've maybe done something wrong, you feel like you've wronged someone else, you feel like you have wronged even yourself, how are you going to find compassion for the darkness? What do you guys do to find compassion? I just go deep into forgiveness, reflection and forgiveness, and changed behavior. That for me is the key. If I've done something wrong and I feel and apologize, that's four things. It's the apologizing, the forgiveness, the love, and having, it comes back to that compassion that you need to have for the darker side within you. To uncover hidden positive qualities we have hidden away: competence, humor, courage, self-confidence, uniqueness, to name a few. That is what the darkness is there for, is so we can uncover these things. Our self-confidence, our uniqueness, competence, humor, courage, because the shadow overmasks that within you. If you're in that darker state, it's going to mask that for you. Vijay is saying, my shadow self has its own personality. I tend to talk to it and listen to it like I would do with a friend. That's a beautiful point. That is really embracing your shadow and looking for that love, for that forgiveness, and that's part of giving it compassion. Paula is saying, okay, I'm not sure what she's saying. And I'm coming to the end of all the points that I've wanted to share, all the tips. I just want to do a quick recap. Is, for me, the importance is how to embrace your shadow, how to not let it control your life. And just to give it love, give it that compassion, because that's your first step. As I said, love conquers all, and that's what I'm going to sign off with today is love your shadow. Where there is love, there is no fear. So we don't have, if we love our shadow and if we embrace it, we don't have to fear it. Paula is saying, really listening and getting to know myself deeply, then I can accept and embrace all parts of me. That's beautifully stated, Paula. And I think we're all on that journey, is to really go deep within ourselves and listen to ourselves. And I'm going to end this live off with, it is only when we have the courage to face things exactly as they are, without any self-deception or illusion, that a light will develop out of events by which the path of success may be recognized. This was said by I Ching. And I'm going to reread it because I want to delve a little bit into it. It is only when we have the courage to face things exactly as they are. How often do we go and not face the reality and build up lies and build up not having the courage to say, but I made a mistake. I am wrong. And just not facing that reality. Without any self-deception or illusion that comes in. We actually sometimes lie to ourselves. And that light will develop out of events by which the path to success may be recognized. Once we have the courage to face all of this, we are going to have that path to success. And our dreams will come true. I just want to go to some comments here. I think, as Dan said, if we know we have done what we did in kindness and always come from kindness, we need to apologize if necessary and forgive oneself. Exactly. Shannon's got an interesting question here that she's saying, are our mistakes our shadow? I don't know. I think you guys can all interact here with Shannon and give your perspectives. I do think your mistake comes from your shadows, from your shadow. I've done that before. When you start making errors, it's when your shadow is overpowering you, and you don't have that clarity, and that you're not present, totally in the present moment, and then it's when you start projecting and you start making mistakes. It comes from your shadow. Yes, it's human nature. That's why it's so important to embrace that side of your life. Hi, Andini. I'm almost finished, Andini, but thank you for joining, and I hope you're going to watch the replay. But really, I thank you for being here. So, I don't know. Vijay is saying, I don't think our mistakes are our shadows, neither are failures. I don't think failures is your shadow, but not all mistakes, but some mistakes. As I said, I do feel that. That's my perspective. Daniel is saying, I think the shadow comes when we deflect the mistake and don't own up to it and embrace it. Paula is saying, I've been doing this for many years. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here today. I had to face my truths so I could move forward with my life, and therefore needed to have the courage and perseverance to move forward. Paula, once again, thank you for being open and sharing that with us. And I think we all were not in the same situations, but we all on that similar path, and we all had to take those steps. And then you're saying, yes, we'll definitely watch the replay. Glad to still catch a bit of it. Thank you, Andini. Really appreciate that. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share shadow, like a questionnaire from the Shadow Effect book in the community that we can all take with the breakdowns and the not. There's no correct answer. There's no wrong answer, but there is a guidance for you at the end of the test. So during this week, I will share it, and it's quite interesting to take that test and to see where you are and how you understand your shadow, and then taking those points to improve where you might feel that you're not doing as much as that you could. Is the shadow our reflection? I mean, literal shadow. And Dini, I covered this a little bit earlier on. I'm going to go back to it. When you see a young child that sees their shadow for the first time, what do? They run, they hide, they cry, they're trying to get rid of this creature following you. And that for me is where you need to realize your shadow's with you for the rest of your life. It's there since the day that you're born until the day that you die. It's the duality that's within you. I wouldn't say it's your reflection, but you can project the darker side in you if you don't overcome it, if you don't embrace it. Your shadow will rule you, and that at the end of the day can become a reflection of you. But for me, it is that child running away from that shadow. And we do that. We run away from this darker side instead of running towards it, embracing it and loving it. Shannon is saying, thanks for everyone. I was struggling with this a little bit. Shannon, reach out to all of us. We've actually done the book in the book club. It's called The Shadow Effect. It's done by Deepak Chopra, Debbie Ford, and Marianne Williamson. It's a brilliant book. I've just touched on a little bit of the basics during this live that's covered in the book. But seriously, reach out to any one of us. We will be able to give you more detail. And as I said, I'm going to put that questionnaire within the community as well. Paula is saying, it is still difficult as I'm continuing to look more deeply into myself to come out of my comfort zone. Paula, you're being very open and honest with us today, and we are all there. We all have to look so deep inside with ourselves. Daniel is saying we need to work with this, not against it. Use our shadow to our advantage. Exactly. That's such an important point. Is I won't say use it to your advantage, but embrace it. Accept it. Give it love. Give it that attention it needs. And make it one. Become one with it. And Dini is saying, wow, interesting, thanks. Adele, definitely need to rewatch this and read the book about it. Really, seriously, guys, it's a brilliant book. Corin, I know you've done it. Paula, you've done it. It's quite a detailed book, and it goes so deep. And to cover it in like 40 minutes to an hour is all those points that's in that book. It's impossible. It's definitely a book to read and reread and reread. But I'm definitely going to share that questionnaire within the community in this coming week. Hi, Bob. Thanks for joining us. Just popped in a bit late. Need to catch the replay. I haven't done any real shadow work, so I'll look into that book. Yeah, guys, as I said, it's a brilliant book. And it's done wonders for us when we did it in the book club. But it's a very deep book. A lot of work to do. And as I said, you reread it. Even the little bits of things I went through today was reminding me of certain things that goes on the wayside because you keep on moving forward and touching so many things. But it's nice to have that book and go back and reflect within it. But I want to thank you all for being here today. For those that joined late, watch the replay. And as I said, reach out to us for those who have read the book. And embrace your shadow, give it love, and accept it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you within my next live. And really, thank you for joining me today. It was quite insightful. Thank you for your engagement. Without you, it won't be possible to go so deep into these topics. Thank you for opening up and sharing your perspective, your thoughts, and your experiences. Thank you, guys. Love you lots. Bye.